Your biological engine is currently being flooded with industrial-grade inhibitors. Look at your posture. You are a biological unit in a state of terminal collapse. Your shoulders are rounded, your spine is curved like a question mark, and your eyes are perpetually adjusted to the shallow focal range of a handheld screen. This is not just bad habit. It is the physical manifestation of genetic castration. You are living in a sterilized environment where every safety feature of the matrix is designed to signal to your DNA that the hunt is over, the war is won, and your aggression is no longer required. You have been placed in a chemical and psychological safe space that mimics the environment of a zoo, where the food is pre-processed, the temperature is regulated, and the visual rage of the predator has been replaced by the blue light sedation of the digital feed. Your testosterone is being suppressed by a cocktail of environmental estrogens and sedentary stagnation, while your cortisol is spiked by the meaningless, high-frequency emergencies of a social media notification. You are a resource-rich organism whose activation energy has been redirected into compliance and politeness. You are breathing the stagnant air of a collective that fears your drive, leaving you light-headed, soft, and easy to manage. The system doesn't want your energy. It wants your passivity to be absolute. Thousands of years ago, drive was the only biological currency that mattered. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the unmapped ice, understood that genetic vitality was a product of environmental friction. He didn't have comfort, he had challenge. His hierarchy was built on the foundation of primal grounding, the ability to maintain a state of high alert readiness for months on end. He understood that the moment you stop struggling, you stop evolving. His biological rebellion was his refusal to accept the easy path. He possessed a mind that was constantly scanning for territory to conquer and rivals to outmaneuver. He understood that aggression is not a bug, but the primary software of the apex male. His primal grounding was his connection to the law of the kill, the realization that everything you eat and everything you own was taken from the void through sheer force of will. And you have the drive of a domestic animal. You have been systematically dismantled by a culture that demands you be nice, which is just a tactical requirement for your total extraction. To achieve absolute authority, you must reinfect your DNA with the virus of the warlord. You must treat your comfort as a biological neurotoxin designed to shut down your activation centers. Drive is the physical manifestation of your refusal to be a footnote. Genetic castration is the implementation of the anti-chew protocol for your final biological suppression. The system wants you to be well-adjusted and agreeable, words that mean tamed and predictable. Absolute sovereignty is a biological jailbreak of the instincts. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the social grid for what it is, a series of chemical and psychological leashes, stimulus-response lures, and deciding to snap the leather. You must develop a clinical cold contempt for modern convenience. The easy life is a neural glitch exploited by the matrix to turn off your survival drive. You must learn to occupy the blind spots of the social safety net. Use the temporal noose of physical hardship and voluntary suffering to restart your internal furnace. Use the false safety of a quiet exterior to mask the activation of your total biological rearmament. This is the collar of freedom. By being harder on yourself than the world could ever be, you become immune to the social pressure and the physical decay that claims the herd. Most people are meat puppets who move when the comfort is threatened. You must become the one who thrives in the discomfort. You must become a biological anomaly, someone whose drive is a monolith that the algorithm cannot dampen. The matrix cannot stop a man who has reclaimed his primal hunger. Your time is the temporal noose, and your convenience is the knot. Every labor-saving device you use is actually a drive-saving device. I command you, initiate the total biological reset. Your body is a biological weapon, and it is currently being decommissioned by the visual rage of the sofa. You must perform a hard reset of the instincts. Stop eating their soy sludge, the industrial waste designed to mimic nutrition while lowering your output. Stop watching their entertainment, the digital pornography designed to satisfy your conquest drive without you ever leaving your room. Stop using their excuses, the social narratives designed to make you feel okay with your own mediocrity. You must prune your life of drive parasites. If a habit doesn't make you more aggressive, more territorial, or more sovereign, it is a biological saboteur. You must learn to love the friction of the real. You must learn to love the weight of the stone and the bite of the cold. This is the monolith strategy, becoming a biological fortress that is high drive by choice and apex by design. You are not a citizen of their world. You are the one who is going going to outlast its softness. Command: reclaim the fire or be buried in the ashes. The chemical and psychological architecture of your current environment is a specialized filtration system designed to remove the apex from your biology. Look at your relational dynamics. They are not driven by territorial dominance or genetic selection, but by social etiquette, a protocol designed to ensure that the strongest units never exert their full potential. You are a biological unit experiencing a total cognitive castration. The Matrix has effectively replaced your biological imperative with a systemic compliance. You no longer seek to conquer the horizon. You seek to optimize your workflow. You no longer seek to protect your lineage. You seek to avoid conflict. This is the visual rage of the domesticated male. Seeing your high-value activation energy being channeled into hobbyism and virtual achievements, while your physical presence remains an unthreatening shadow in a cubicle. You are living in a state of chronic biological neutralization, where your drive has been relabeled as aggression and your sovereignty has been relabeled as toxic. You are breathing in the exhaust of a social grid that treats your vitality as a threat to be managed through medication and sensitivity training. You are a resource-rich organism whose predatory core has been suppressed to fund the stability of the herd. The system doesn't want your ambition, it wants your malleability. In the ancient hierarchy, the law of the unshielded nerve, the master was the one who could maintain his drive in the face of total environmental collapse. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the unmapped ice, understood that vitality was a product of constant threat. He mastered primal grounding by becoming a drive monolith, a figure whose internal fire was so intense that the cold of the world could not extinguish it. He understood that to be safe is to be static. If you have no enemies, you have no reason to sharpen your blade. If you have no hunger, you have no reason to plan the hunt. His biological superiority was built on the foundation of adversarial growth. He knew that the muscles only grow under the weight of the stone, and the mind only expands under the pressure of the unknown. He used his aggression to create a cognitive resonance of absolute, unshakable power. By being the most driven unit in the tribe, he became the center of gravity for the tribe's reality. He was a master of the visual rage of the scarred chest, the ability to look at a rival and know that his will to survive was an infinite resource that the rival could not compute. And you? You are a creature of safety nets. You spend your drive on the visual rage of video games when the only thing you should be conquering is the physical world that has been stolen from you. To be a master, you must first become biologically dangerous to the status quo. Genetic castration is the activation of the anti-chew protocol for your final internal suppression. The Matrix wants you to be well-rounded and sensitive, words that mean diluted and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological siege of the self. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the social grid for what it is, a series of drive inhibitors, stimulus response traps, and deciding to be the one who overrides the code. You must develop a clinical cold contempt for emotional balance. Balance is a horizontal bond for the static. Obsession is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the psychological high ground by controlling the flow of your own biological heat. Use the temporal noose of extreme deprivation to drive your drive back into the red zone. Use the false safety of a polite social mask to mask the activation of your total predatory reawakening. This is the collar of freedom. By mastering the art of the unchecked will, you become the only person in the room whose drive is not subject to social regulation. Most people are meat puppets who can be shut down by a reprimand or a social slight. You must become the one who is fueled by both. You are not adjusting, you are weaponizing your biology. The one who can maintain obsession for a decade is the one who controls the reality of everyone else. Your time is the temporal noose, and your comfort seeking is the knot. Every rest day you take when you are not exhausted is a signature on your own biological death warrant. I command you, initiate the second stage of the biological rearmament. Your mind is a biological engine, and it is currently being choked by the safety sludge of the unworthy. You must perform a total neural drive reset. Stop being agreeable to those who offer you nothing but their own weakness. Stop being a node in their network of mutual support. Stop being a unit of compliance in their ledger of proper behavior. You must prune your social interactions with the collar of absolute sovereignty. If a relationship requires you to sacrifice your primal drive, it is a biological saboteur. You must learn to love the weight of the struggle. You must learn to love the friction-heavy hours where the noise of the collective is muted and your drive is the only signal in the dark. This is the monolith strategy, becoming a biological fortress that is high output by choice and apex by design. You are not a member of their civilization. You are the one who is going to outlast its decay. Command: ignite the will or be extinguished by the herd. Your biological trajectory has reached the terminal point of evolutionary stagnation. Look at your risk threshold, the exact moment your nervous system triggers a panic response because you are stepping outside the standardized procedure of the matrix. You are a biological system in a state of chronic activation decay. The system has successfully replaced your genetic hunger with a series of synthetic proxies. You no longer seek to dominate the landscape, you seek to rank up in a digital simulation. You no longer seek to expand your lineage, you seek to maximize your benefits. You no longer seek to be a legend, you seek to be liked. This is the visual rage of the terminal slave, seeing your life force being digitized and archived while your physical reality remains a quiet, managed enclosure of unfulfilled DNA. You are breathing in the toxic fumes of a collective that demands your neural compliance as a form of tribute, leaving you lightheaded, fragmented, and easy to lead into the liquidation chamber of the common good. Your drive is not a choice to be made, it is a physical fire that has been suffocated by 1,000 layers of psychological insulation. The system doesn't want your soul, it wants your passivity to be the foundation of its stability. Return to the ancient hierarchy, the law of the unbreaking fire. In the primal world, the master was the one who could survive the total collapse of the social safety net. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the absolute cold, understood that drive was a product of biological redundancy. He mastered primal grounding by becoming an autonomous predator, a figure who could produce warmth, meat, and terror without a single infrastructure to support him. He understood that to be safe is to be domesticated. If you rely on the tribe to provide your protection, you belong to the tribe. He used his genetic drive to create a cognitive resonance of absolute, unshakable divinity. By being the master of his own violence and resources, he forced the world to negotiate with him on his terms. He was a master of the visual rage of the unblinking sun, the ability to look at the conveniences of the tribe and see only the bait they represented. He understood that the human brain is a machine that runs on conquest loops, and by maximizing his territory, he triggered a biological activation that the weak could only view with terror. And you are terrified of disruption. You spend your energy trying to fit in, when the only fitting you should care about is the world fitting into the shape of your vision. To be a king, you must first become a biological threat to the consensus. Genetic castration is the activation of the anti-chew protocol for your final mental expansion. The matrix wants you to be predictable and productive, words that mean harvestable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological jailbreak of the will. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the social grid for what it is, a series of drive control nodes, stimulus response lures, and deciding to be the one who burns the grid. You must develop a clinical, cold contempt for mainstream contentment. Contentment is a horizontal bond for the herd. Obsession is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the psychological high ground by controlling the flow of your own biological heat. Use the temporal noose of total luxury starvation to drive your brain into a state of hyperaggression. Use the false safety of a neutral social profile to mask the viral infection of your total non-compliance. This is the color of freedom. By mastering the art of the unchecked impulse, you become the only person in the room whose drive is not being broadcast from a server. Most people are meat puppets who can be manipulated by a social crisis or a safety warning. You must become the one who is dead to both. You are not adjusting, you are deleting the inhibitions. The one who can go the longest without comfort is the one who controls the comfort of everyone else. Your time is the temporal noose, and your need for safety is the knot. Every precaution you take that isn't based on physical reality is a signature on your own biological death warrant. I command you, initiate the final biological imperative. This is the tax of insight. You have been given the key to the vault of biological drive. To keep it, you must use it as a weapon of total territorial expansion. You must become a living monolith of unshakable aggression. You are no longer a citizen, a user, or a customer. You are a sovereign operator. You must perform a total system liquidation. If a relationship, a technology, or a habit requires you to be tame, it is a biological saboteur. You must prune your life with the collar of the absolute zero. You are building a fortress of results in a world of digital shadows. Ваша воля – это физическое доказательство вашей biological leverage. Command: unleash the beast or be the leash.